Yes, you do. You do. Okay, awesome. We are ready to roll. Heather is going to still help me admit people in, but we are live on Facebook. Tyler, thanks for coming back on. Okay, if you guys missed Tyler before, he was on before, and we met through the John Maxwell world, and I had like rave reviews of bring Tyler back, bring Tyler back. So I appreciate you coming back on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad to be here. Excited. And it's fun to see all you guys and to see a different world and to see a few more people that are Buckeyes at heart. So I always appreciate that. No shade at UK, whatever, whoever it's all good. I mean, the Buckeyes, I think we're ranked in the top 10 right now, basketball. Where's UK?
I know. Okay, we're having a
weird
year this year. I don't know what's going on, but
right. Hey, you know what? I am a Browns fan, so I can appreciate those of you that are supporting a team in their down years, because I know that better than I know teams that succeed. But excited to be here, and yeah, just we'll see where today goes. What are we talking about?
We're talking about mindset. So I know you kind of you gave us a great lesson last time, and I think, man, I want to say it was like right at the beginning kind of the pandemic, I think, when you came on last time, or pretty close to it. So been a while, but you shared with us some great lessons, and really I kind of was hoping you would something and or just how you really daily. I know you're very habitual, and I know you're very disciplined, and so I want you to touch on that again. You've actually through social media outlets helped me get back on my streak with things, so I appreciate that. But really just wanted you to kind of touch on mindset.
It's a process. I think that's what's really important is if, you guys are showing up today, I know Dana, holds this weekly, and it's part of, I'm going to just go out on a limb and saying it's as much for you to be accountable, because as a teacher, sometimes you have to do the work so that you can provide it for others. And so that's, we create things that make us accountable in life. And one of the things that I've done there is, I'm a person of faith. And so I read the Bible every day. I started this. There was a John Maxwell coach that I worked with a couple of years ago, and he challenged me to read Proverbs every day. And I had friends that did it in the past, and it was really just kind of this to develop in wisdom and growth. And it was something I need to grow in. And so I started that, and the YouVersion Bible app has a great kind of tracker. And the first year, I think I missed 2 days. And I now, as of this morning, let me just look.
I was hoping you were going to share. I was hoping you were going to share what yours is, because it will put me to shame, but it'll motivate me. So let's hear it.
I am at 480 days, 137 weeks. I missed 1 day, October of 2019. I think it's when we were traveling to the Grand Cayman. But anyways, it's not about the, scorecard. It is about the commitment and just making a habit. That's how I start every day. And I think it really ties back into one of the things I was reading this morning, listening to, one of the other things I do is I listen to Darren Hardy, Darren Daily every day. Monday through Friday is just something I do. That's part of my routine. And today he was talking about, how to be mentally tough. Yesterday, I'm also going through a different year-long training with Darren Hardy. It's called his Hero's Journey. It's about leadership. It's like, okay, how can
I wondered what that was. I saw that.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Like, we are session 3, and I've already learned so much. It's great. And, as he talked about to him, there's a success triangle, and there's knowledge, skill, and attitude. And, as he drew this triangle, attitude's on the bottom. And to me, because that's foundational. And he goes through the process, the practice, and the most important thing of those 3 is attitude. I mean, stop and think about it. You guys are in the real estate world. You guys are working with people that are on all levels of that contribute to the team. And it isn't the people that have the greatest skill that contribute the most. It really isn't the people that have, the inherent best knowledge. It is the people that have a can-do attitude, and attitude is like, okay, how can I support? How can I be a part of the team? How can I make this happen when things get tough? One of the other things I was reading this morning was, I just added this in. I got into the habit of reading the daily readers. I think we talked about the Maxwell Daily Reader. So I was reading that. Then I added in a devotional daily reader by John Maxwell. And then I added in a Peter Drucker daily reader. I've also added in a Tim Keller daily reader. Just it's one of those things when I get used to a habit, then I can add a little bit more. If you say, hey, I'm going to put these 10 protocols into my morning, dude, you're going to be overwhelmed. You know, I started with Proverbs, started committing to that, almost 3 years ago. And then over time, I just kind of add in, and it takes me a good, probably close to an hour to go through all my stuff in the morning. And it's just, I woke up today at 4:45, kind of normal. I, got ready for this. I was, ready about 10 minutes before, do my thing. That's just my normal day.
Fixed your hair, got yourself.
Yeah, fixed my hair, made sure my hair was good.
You and Adam,
it was a challenge. I just have to make sure I don't have any fuzz balls on my head. Like I have this one Ohio State sweatshirt, and all the time my kids be like, Dad, what's on the back of your head? Well, it's got like little fuzz inside. And so I end up with like these red lines all over my head because the fuzz. Anyways.
So wait, Tyler, pause. Have you always been interested in mindset and keeping a good mindset, or was there a period in your life where you didn't do that and then you worked towards that?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, it's if I were to sit here and say, oh yeah, when I was, 10, I always had a good mindset. No. Here's what I've understood. And it's funny, again, going through this Darren Hardy training, because it makes you, good questions from good people make you evaluate how you got to where you're at.
Right.
And one of the things he discusses, again, this attitude is that we model the attitude of those that we're around. Well, as a kid, especially, we're around our parents a lot. And we don't understand sometimes when our parents have bad attitudes. My mom, and love her to death, has a bad attitude. She's always had a bad attitude. Her glass is half empty. And what's funny for me as I stop and think about this, growing up, I didn't realize it was a bad attitude, negative. My mom would always be, we were always broke. She, still this day, it's funny. I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine. We were talking about the lottery. We got into this great conversation about the lottery. Did any of you try to buy lottery tickets when it was $1 billion, something crazy? No. If you did, okay, great. If you did, yeah, that's cool. I did not. And it's part of, I don't think about that. That's just not in the world that I'm thinking, how can I go win the lottery? Well, my mom was always, well, we can do that if I win the lottery, when I win the lottery. And still to this day. And I'm like, dude, that's such a bad mindset. Go out and create it. Well, I realized that when I left home and went to college.
Okay.
And I look back and I'm like, oh, dude, that's a mental drag. And I recognize it. And I can remember talking to my younger brother, and I'm like, dude, just wait until you leave and you're going to realize how kind of oppressive and toxic that is. Same to my younger sister. And as much as I've encouraged my mom to try to read different books, like a great lesson for me to change there was reading John Gordon's books. And I appreciated John. If you aren't familiar with the author, John Gordon, he's written books such as The Power of Positive Thinking, The Energy Bus. He's written The Garden. He has the book Relationship Grit. I mean, so many great books. Probably the book I love the most is he wrote The Carpenter.
Oh, I've not read The Carpenter. The Energy Bus is one of my favorites.
Yeah. And he also wrote The Hard Hat, which is a great story that profiles kind of a lacrosse player that went to Cornell University. That's where I went, as did John. And he died on the field. He got hit with a lacrosse ball. But he was honored as this just amazing teammate, this great attitude. And so John goes through all that. And so great books that John has. And one of the books I think that I read was The Power of Positive Thinking. And, John accounts that like he had a bad attitude. He was just negative. He was always negative. And as I read that, I was like, oh, okay, I can relate to that. And there's hope for me. There's hope for me to be able to say, yeah, I got to wake up every day. I got to have a positive attitude, because if I have a positive attitude, that's going to change everything. And so circling back to this question, have I always had that mindset? No.
Mhm.
I just, you go through life, and I recognized I didn't want to have this negative outlook on life, but I didn't necessarily know how to change it. I recognized it. Well, then I would fall into that path. And my wife, Kelly, would, sometimes always, I don't want to say rag on me, but just kind of like, oh, you're always so negative, half empty. It's like, no, that's really not me. I'm a pretty optimistic person. I'm realistic.
Mhm.
Now, I mean, part of my language, but if you show me a shit sandwich, I'm not going to tell you that looks like the most amazing Thanksgiving meal. It is what it is. Sometimes you got to eat it because that's what you got. And yeah, I think going back into the pandemic, one of the great books and stories that I kind of again conceptualized was I read Good to Great Again. And it was so good to read that from Jim Collins. And, he talks about the Stockdale paradox. And it was funny. I've learned this. If I am going through something, if I'm reading, I'm listening, and I see the same story at the same time pop up a couple times, take note. It's a big deal. And it just happened to be, I was reading Good to Great. I was doing other things. And it kept showing up. And I'm like, okay, I need to take note. I need to really dig deep and understand the Stockdale paradox. If you're not familiar with it, I'm going to give you a brief paraphrase. Jim Stockdale was I think he was in the Navy. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's okay. The president, he served in Vietnam, and he ended up being a POW. And he lasted like 7 years, longer than really anyone else. And, he goes back and he credits his ability to do that because he was realistic. He wasn't optimistic. He wasn't pessimistic. He was realistic. And so, he kind of, would relate that as he was a realistic optimist. And, what he found is the people that are pessimists, they died the quickest. They were gone and done. It was the optimist that died the next because they're like, oh, we'll be out by Christmas. This is in July. Oh, we'll be out by Christmas. Christmas comes along. They're not out. And they're like, they gave up. Whereas he took beatings upon beatings upon beatings. And he lasted, like I said, years because he was like, I'm here. I'm going to be here. I'm just going to keep doing each day. And I'm going to create mental toughness. And he committed to that. I'm here. It's a challenge every day. I'm confident that I'm here for a reason. I'm going to go through with this. And to me, reading that last year was great because I saw so many people. And even now, hey, let's be honest. There's a lot of places in the world. It doesn't look a lot different, February now than what it did April, May last year. Some places, yes, some places, no. And, to have that mental toughness is just, you have to commit and say, hey, I want to have an attitude that is going to be positive. I have this picture and it's funny. I didn't realize I had it. I think I got it as a gift. I have cows, right? I grew up on a farm. Cows are kind of, a little bit my thing, but I'm not overzealous. And I have this picture, this amazing painting that this lady painted. And it's a cow kind of turning her nose in the air. And it says, attitude is everything. And, again, it's where do you find that? Where do you have to commit to it? So getting back to your original question, have I always had a good mindset? No. I've had to work on it. Here's the biggest thing I want you guys to realize. I really had to work on it because I found people didn't want to be around me. And that's what really was like, oh, I don't like this. This is not fun. I like to be around people. I love to collaborate. I'm an extrovert. I'll tell you something that I'm really learning. I want to make sure I didn't, how long have I been an Ohio State fan, Troy? I have been an Ohio State fan since I was born. Both my parents went to Ohio State. I know nothing other than being a Buckeye. I am born. I'm a Buckeye for life. And Michelle, yes, I think there's more than one person that suffer from this problem. But one of the things I'm just coming to grips, and I've had my sister-in-law really told me this. I had another friend that told me this, and I didn't understand it. And the I don't want to say the power that people have when they walk into a room. And I've never thought of my person that has this like aura of them, this impressive, like, oh, I walk into a room and everyone takes notes. It's just, I don't think that way. And my very close friend and my sister-in-law told me is like, Tyler, when you walk into a room, your energy can change a room. I was like, I never realized that. I did not own and comprehend that. Well, here, I'm not unique. We all have that ability. Some people more than others, just because of how they carry themselves. And you guys have been in rooms. You walk into a room and all of a sudden the energy goes, super high. Everyone's excited. You're sitting in a room, somebody walks in and it's like, okay, who's going to be the first one to get shot? Let's be honest, right? You kind of feel that way. And I never comprehended or realized that was something that I either had or that was possible. And so, and this has just been in the last couple months of really understanding, okay, my energy, how I carry myself, how I present myself in a room. And there's times I know I'm, lighthearted and I'm fun. It's glad to be there. And then there's other times I'm very, serious and intense and stoic in that case. And that has a dramatic effect on the rooms I pop in. It's like, well, I don't want to be that a-hole that people are like, oh, we don't want him back in the room. I want to be in the room. I want to contribute. I want to collaborate. And so I've really had to come to grips and say, how can I develop and change and fix that? And it comes back to attitude and mindset. If I'm there to say, hey, I know I have something of value. I don't know what it is. Because what I used to do in the past is I would, make up for my insecurities, and I'd come into that room and I'd just say, here's all the things I know. Mm-hmm. And what I've had to learn is like, come into that room and just sit back and ask questions and seek to understand. It's like, is there anything I can offer here? Yeah. Maybe I can't. Okay, that's fine. I'm still part of the room. And if I come into the room, then I need to contribute. But I don't necessarily have to implore everything I know just to have value. Sometimes just sitting in the room with a smile and a great attitude does a whole lot to the energy of the room, and you just contributed and you never said a word. So.
Yeah, love that. Okay, that's great. That just was a really good reminder for me on something else that I need to share with somebody. That happens to me all the time. So I just wrote that down. Okay.
I can tell. Yes, you are that person. Dana walks in a room and you're scared. Who is she going to act? She's going to be like the Donald and like, you're fired, right? That's
no, that is not me at all. No, Troy can vouch for that. No. Okay. Tyler, share with them. You've started a really great book club.
Yeah.
And so I want you to share with them about that. And then I also know you've had the privilege of having a lot of great people on your podcast. You've launched your new podcast. I want you to share with them all of those things. And then I also want to know what's the greatest lesson you've learned from being mentored by John Maxwell so far?
Can I answer that one first?
Yeah.
It kind of goes back a little bit to the room thing. And I was going to share it there, but this is the perfect time to share it. The lesson I have learned from him, and this is how I conceptualize it. You're better off to be the sharpest knife in the kitchen rather than all the utensils in the drawer. So I'm going to let you stop and think about that. When you're a sharp knife, you have one purpose and you do it so well, you're the only one to do it. When you're all the utensils in the drawer, you're just another utensil. Yeah, I shared this last night. I had a friend of mine who has a podcast. We got talking about this. And he goes, did you guys ever have the Swiss Army knife? And he was talking about the Swiss Army knife craze. And we're both about 40. And he goes, everyone in the world, and this guy's in Australia, everyone in the world had a Swiss Army knife. The problem is you had a Swiss Army knife, but you really didn't use the Swiss Army knife because the screwdriver wasn't that good. The knife wasn't really that good. If you had the one with the spoon or the compass, you didn't use those. What happened? You needed a knife, you went and got a really good knife. You needed a screwdriver, you went and got a really good screwdriver. My son last night, we were coming home from a soccer game and we were talking about that. And he is 12, plays soccer. And he said, hey, Dad, who was the best on the field? I'm like, well, I'll be honest, you. Because he was, and I'm not trying to blow up my son, but he gets frustrated because he ends up playing a lot of different positions. And I said, Braxton, do you know why you do that? And he goes, no, because he's kind of frustrated. Dad, I just want to play in the midfield because I love the midfield and that's when his team is the best. But I said, what happens is you have the ability to play every position on the field. That's an extremely valuable skill that you have, is that you have the confidence and the trust that your coach can put you anywhere and know that you're going to not hurt the team. And I said, you kind of had this utensil drawer conversation with him. I said, that's valuable. That gets you a place at the table. But here's what you should really work towards, because you want to be in the midfield all the time, right? Make it to where it hurts your team if he moves you out of the midfield. If he has to move you out of the midfield and put you at striker or, defense, that your team is all of a sudden not as able to succeed, that's what you need to work towards. So you're at the table because you're good and he can put you anywhere. And that's a tremendous value as a coach, as a player. But make yourself so valuable at the midfield position, because that's where he wants to play, that your coach would never move you away from there, because it would hurt the team more than it helps moving you somewhere else. So that's the greatest lesson I have learned from John, is be able to put all that, because I used to be a jack of all trades. I mean, I can do a lot of things, but I've had to understand, hey, how do I continue to focus on just what I'm great at and let some of those other things go? Okay. Is that good? That work?
Yep.
Okay. Did that help anyone? Did that give anyone an aha? A few people? Did that give you maybe an aha of your parents to talk to your kids about? Because it was organic talking to my son. I didn't go with the intention of talking about it, just kind of how it worked out. But all right, book club and podcast. So I used to host a podcast with my wife. For some of you that work well with your spouses, maybe that works. It didn't work for us. I loved it though. I really enjoyed it. I got to interview John Gordon, Bob Berg, The Go-Giver. If you haven't read The Go-Giver, amazing book. I got to interview Don Yeager, who've gotten to be friends with because the Maxwell family, just love, great people that I reached out and said, hey, can I interview you? And this was, a couple years ago. And I always kind of wanted to do it again, but I'm not sure how do I do it, and trying to add value to people. Well, one of the things that I've really started to do in my life is this quest to get better and grow is read. I didn't read a novel in the entire my high school or college career, just didn't. And I think somebody asked me yesterday, hey, any good books? And I've read 6 since the beginning of the year, maybe even 7. And one of them, guess what book I read? Amazing book, Leadership in Turbulent Times. This is like this thick, and I read it. It was great. Well, anyways, so I was like, how can I share that with people, but add value, but learn together? And so I decided to launch a podcast and a book club, because why not interview an author and then read the book together to talk about that book collectively as a table, kind of like we're here. It's like, hey, let's pull out the lessons that we learned. I talked to, how many different books, 3 or 4 different books so far. It's like, those are the lessons I've learned, but this is why I understood there's great value, is when I can share my perception, but then I get to hear from everyone else, because then all of a sudden I realize, oh, I didn't understand or realize that, and you just exposed that to me. Now we all got better. It's a process called layered learning that John Maxwell talks a lot about. And I love it, because I love to collaborate. I'm an Enneagram 8. Some people think they just want to dominate. No, they just want to have great conversation and find the best solution. That's my opinion. Okay. And, so I decided to launch this book club podcast. First book that we read through in January was Welcome to Management. So I had Ryan Hawk on the podcast. Just gotten to be friends with him just because I asked to interview him a couple years ago and share a lot of mutual connections. Just interviewed John, which was a lot of fun. So John Maxwell. So this month we are reading his book, Change Your World. I don't know if you guys have that. You guys should get it. If you have not as well, go to changeyourworld.com. You can get all of the resources, talking about values. It was a lot of fun, and to walk with John the last 3+ years and to see a lot of this play out in life has been fun reading his books. So that's what I have going on. It's called the Impact Driven Leader Podcast. It's on iTunes, Spotify, wherever else you listen to podcasts. And then, if you want to join the book club, one of the things with the book club is I decided revenue is not coming to me. It's all going to the John Maxwell Leadership Foundation. So there's a book club. There's also a roundtable where we do a weekly Zoom, dive deeper. But then the book club, we just ask questions and share kind of in the forum of Mighty Network. So that's what I have going on there.
So Impact Driven Leader podcast, right?
Yep.
And then they can go to your website to look at everything else, right? Okay,
yep.
Cool. I'm kind of hoping you're going to have her on.
Oh, you want an interview with Paula?
Yeah, you introduced me to this book, and it's been one that's like game changer for me, especially in the last couple of months.
Give it a couple weeks.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to say that.
give it a couple weeks.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm very much looking forward to that. I know you were kind of like a little bit obsessed with it, and then I started reading it because I saw you read it, and then I was like, man, then she was on Craig Groeschel's podcast, so I heard her there.
Yes.
And she was great. Okay. So, sorry, go ahead, Tyler.
I was just going to say, Paula launched a podcast yesterday. So Paula Ferris, former host of Good Morning America, The View. She wrote this book called Out.
Yeah, right here.
Again, you have it. I have it. Okay. And so she just launched a podcast, had an interview with Candace Cameron Bure. It released yesterday. So.
Oh, I haven't heard that. Great. I'll have to go look at that. Cool. Okay, so last 2 minutes, what final parting words would you share on mindset? Let's say they want to grow in their mindset, or let's say maybe during the pandemic, people are just struggling with their attitude, or they're around people that don't have a great attitude. What would be like your final parting piece of advice?
It's something you have to put on every day.
Oh, I love that.
You know, it's you know, you have to shower every day so you don't stink. It's kind of like mindset. You don't change your mindset every day, you're going to start to stink. And know that you're going to be challenged with a lot of different things that come your way, but you have the power and the opportunity to change your mindset. Let me share. I'm going to share another book. Can I share another book? How many is this now?
I wish my stacks, like this is only one I can, I just have stacks, just like constant. I know you're the same way. So share.
All right. So I don't know if you've talked about this. Have you talked about the Purpose Factor?
No,
I know
I've
Shane.
not talked about the Purpose Factor. I've actually never read the Purpose Factor.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. I'm writing it down.
Dana. Okay. See, if you're part of my book club, you'll get all this stuff. We'll talk about it. The Purpose Factor is actually a bonus book, but anyways, the author, Brian Brochet, I have gotten to be friends with. Actually, I'm doing a podcast that's going to release in March as well. And he shared something with me that is absolutely amazing that ties in here. One of the things that people will say is how to fix your mindset is be grateful, have gratitude. That sounds like syrupy. Like, come on, that's just a little too Pollyanna for me. I'm not down. It's like, I don't get it. This is what he said, and it absolutely changed my mind. Use gratitude as a weapon. I was like, oh, okay, Brian, tell me more. He goes, you know, we put on this idea that we need to have gratitude. And, you know, as he and I both shared that we had some challenges in our life, that all of us have had crucible moments. As I learned, every single person has a crucible moment. That's what makes you what you are. And be grateful for that. Because that's what is allowing you to serve someone in the way that you can serve them. You know, Brian talks about being sexually abused when he was a child, and that's what gave him the compassion and heart to serve people. And he's grateful for that opportunity because it's a weapon he can use whenever something's coming at him. You know, I had when I was 14, my younger brother died in a farming accident. And you know, after 20 some years of processing that, and as he and I were talking, I was like, oh, I get that, dude. Because I faced this day at a stop sign, I remember exactly. And I kind of had this spirit come over him, just like, Tyler, if you could change that, would you? Nope. Because I wouldn't be the person I am today. I would not have learned the lessons I've learned, and I wouldn't have the ability to share with people that are maybe going through something. And so when we talk about mindset and this idea, use gratitude as a weapon. Don't use gratitude as this, oh yeah, play nice. It is, I am grateful for the stuff that I've been through in life, because it gives me a lens to be compassionate, to serve, to understand. And he talked about it. There was somebody that had gone bankrupt and he's like, I'm a financial advisor and I've gone bankrupt. How can I advise people? And he goes, oh, you're the perfect person to advise people. Because you've gone bankrupt, you can tell people, don't do the stupid things I did. You know, if you're a real estate agent who is, you know, you foreclosed on a house, great. You're the perfect person to tell somebody, hey, don't buy a house bigger than your wallet. You're going to end up in a bad shape. I'm going to end up as a bad representative. Don't do that. And to me, that's where it was really great, is this idea of use gratitude as a weapon. How powerful is that if we stop and think about, I am grateful for, you know, whatever it is, financial stress last year. Be grateful for last year because it taught us all the things that we need to know in life. So yeah, I don't know if that helps. Hopefully that helps someone.
That was a great note to end on. I love that. I don't know. I know you guys are. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That was great. Tyler, we appreciate you. You guys, we're going to post his podcast, his website, all the things in the Facebook group. By the way, I have a goal this year of having 5,000 members in that group. And I know I asked several, I know I just hit 1,400. I asked several of you, some of you actually, to go invite people. So Don, Josh, thank you guys. Sarah, Heath, I know you guys did too. So go invite your friends into the group and let's share. My intention this year is to just bring value and help everybody with their mindset, no matter what we face. And Tyler, you are always great. And if you come back, if you'll come back, we'll have you again.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dana. And everyone else, hey, have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great rest of your week, guys. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This was awesome.
Thank you, Milton, for being on. See you guys.
Yeah. Take care.